Alex, I'm going to interview you today. What's it like working with your wife?
Gee, I don't know. So thank you for joining us today. This is Alex and Lisa Montrose, and we brought our bobblehead with us today to talk a little bit about what is it like to work together as a married couple, and what are some of the challenges we've gone through. I know in previous previous video, I talked a little bit about kind of how to, I would say, stay in your lane, right? And how to create a better working relationship with your wife, your spouse, your significant other as you're developing a business. So, Lisa, I'm going to start off with you.
Wait, I feel like I get to ask the questions.
You do? Okay. All right, go ahead.
So, Alex, what do you think works really, really well about working with your spouse?
What works well? That's a good question. What works really, really well?
Should we go with a
goodness.
different question?
Oh man, what works really, really well working with your spouse? I think what works well is we get to see each other a lot.
A lot.
We get to see each other a lot, and I think it's a positive. I don't look at that as a negative. I know some people might be like, all right, I'm tired of seeing your face every other day. But I can say that for myself. You might be tired of seeing me, but I really enjoy spending the time with you and being able to develop, something pretty cool, as we work to develop Moncord out. What about you? What would be your answer to that?
Well, to start, we save money on gas and
we do.
Parking because we drive together, which is huge.
Sometimes I'm parking, yeah.
Sometimes we do save money on that. So that's super helpful. But I do think it is, sometimes you have business partners who aren't value aligned or ethics aligned, and that causes conflict in the business, and that's something we never have.
Yeah.
Because I think we're in alignment.
Are you siphoning money from me that I don't know about? Maybe she's siphoning money. I got to check. Do you have any other accounts I should know about?
What does that have to do with running a business?
Well, you're talking about trust, right?
I'm talking about being aligned.
I know.
But anyway.
I know. Yeah.
So I'd say that would be something that I think works really well.
It does work well. It does. Awesome.
So my next question.
Okay.
What has a tendency to not work as well when you work with your spouse or run a company?
Yeah,
not even just.
I honestly think, and I've mentioned this in the past, I think it's if you are not allowing the space needed for each person to work within their specialty, I would say, or whatever their role is defined as, that can create conflict and friction. So I think, not having clear boundaries up front could lead towards, a lot of tension and heartburn and heartache, right?
And heartburn.
Heartburn in the sense of like, it could go, it won't be very comfortable working together, and that would be my answer, right? Okay. So what about you?
So I think, what was the question again?
What doesn't work well? What doesn't work well?
I would say that it's making sure that there's sometimes one bleeds into the other, which of course it's going to, because you care about both your family and your work life. But I think sometimes work has a tendency to bleed more into family life, where you have to set those boundaries and say, today is not about business. Today is about our family. And we do that on Saturdays. Yeah. So Saturdays we don't work. Yep. Like, I don't check emails. And I honor my family doing that. Like, that's their time. Yeah. And then we get caught up again on Sunday. But I think I think that's probably the hardest part, and what sometimes doesn't work well is the separation of the two.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think we've actually
I know it's a great point.
I know. You are my better half. So I think that, having, again, going back to boundaries, having those same boundaries in the family, especially if you have a family, right, that you have kids and other obligations, is really critical to having peace at the end of the day, right? And so we've taken that approach. Saturdays become our day, and we love it. I mean, it's kind of a day to like decompress a little bit, but right back at it,
Sundays.
Sundays, right? So And then kind of wrap this up, what would be, I'm going to ask you the question now.
That's fine. Because I was out of questions. That was my last question.
What would be the tip?
Don't knock it over.
What would be the tip that you would offer somebody that's considering running a business together with their spouse, significant other, partner? What would be your advice? And going in, let's just say going into 2019, because it's crazy to think that we're already in September, we're a few months away. So going into the new year, if this is something you're considering, what would be a tip?
Discuss expectations up front and make sure each person is clear on what the other person expects of them and to make sure that you're in alignment on that. Because sometimes I think that it's the expectation that causes the letdown and the tension and those types of things.
Yeah.
So I think make sure that those expectations are really, really clear to both people up front and that you're in alignment on that.
I agree. That's a good one.
I know it is.
That's a good one.
I'm good. I'm full of these.
I actually think that's probably how I would answer it too. It's expectations. I think also you didn't even ask me the question. I'm just going to go ahead and answer it. Is that all right?
Well, yeah, because you just started to answer anyway.
So, as a follow-up tip would be to, apart from setting expectations, I would say also count the cost in the sense of like, is it really going to be worth it at the end of the day? Because counting the cost in the sense of the pressure it's going to put on your personal lives, your family, the business itself, all those things really need to be accounted for and considered up front before you dive all in and make that decision. So expectations and counting the cost, I would say, would be the two really, really, I would say probably pretty high priority considerations to be making and our tips for you. So with that said, hopefully you found this video insightful and helpful. I think this is something actually Lisa and I have been talking about for those of you out there, whether our clients, prospects, those that are running a business together or thinking about it. We've been kind of throwing the idea around. We also need experienced, I would say, business owners, not that have been doing it on their own, because running a business with your spouse definitely comes with different dynamics that you can't. If you don't have that experience, it's hard to kind of speak into this type of kind of arrangement. So I would, what we're thinking about doing is, starting up in essence a mastermind with other like-minded, other people that are going on this journey like we are, so that we can also gain some insights around people that have already kind of are well ahead of us and be able to speak into our lives in the sense of like, here, these are things to consider as you're growing your business, because we've already been through it. And we also want to pour back out of our hearts to see those that are considering it, kind of learn some lessons that we've learned and be able to apply those so that you can kind of have the most success as possible launching a business. So anything you want to add to that?
I think you covered it.
Okay. All right. Well, with that said, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we will be in touch later on. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.